prepared. I want to pick your brain on that too. Not that I'm going to do it. It's just I do this type of stuff as part of my agency, but I've never ventured into the political world because it's so competitive with these cards.
I can give you what I did and how much.
That's what I'm looking for.
I wanted to ask you that
I
too.
didn't get the final bill yet, but I got an estimate.
Okay.
And you buy the poll.
You did. Okay.
League of Women Voters of Greater Green Bay would like to thank you all for coming here tonight. Just a few housekeeping. Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Christine Lemeron. I should introduce myself. And I am on the Voter Services Committee, who helps to hold these forums for candidates in the area. A few housekeeping items before we get started. Like John said, there's a white card on your chairs. That's for questions if you would like to ask, and please do ask questions. We'd love to have questions from the audience. Just write something down. We also have pens if you need them, if you didn't bring one. Stick your hand up in the air and one of us will grab your question. We'll take a look at it just to make sure it fits the rules that Dawn will talk about for the questions, and then we'll have her moderate it. The other piece of paper is a little yellow paper with a QR code on it. We are live streaming these forums and have them available on YouTube for anyone to post, look at later. We do, of course, have a fee for that. So as a nonprofit organization, if you are so moved, there's a little QR code where you can help out with that cost if you would like to. So I will hand it over to our moderator for tonight, Dawn Smith.
Good evening.
I'd like to welcome our candidates for the Allouez Village Board of Trustees, our community members, and those that are watching online tonight. My name is Dawn Smith. I am the Vice President of the League of Women Voters, Greater Green Bay. I'm also the co-chair of our Voter Services Committee with Christine, and I will be the moderator for tonight's forum. The League of Women Voters is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization that has been encouraging education and engagement in the election process since the 1920s. We host candidate forums to provide citizens an opportunity to be informed and educated about their choices when they go to vote. The League will never support or oppose a political party or candidate. This forum is being live streamed on the League of Women Voters Greater Green Bay YouTube page, and the link will be shared on our Facebook page. Our candidates tonight are Charlie Lederman, Jean Marsh, Matt Honer, Raymond Maxwell, Rich Craig, Rob Atwood, and Will Knoppen. Our time, right? Got it right. Our timekeepers tonight are League members Don and Jean Dahlstrom. Questions will be collected and reviewed by League members prior to being given to me. If you have a question you'd like asked, please write it on a note card you were given when you arrived and raise your hand for a League member to collect it. Questions must be applicable to all candidates. Questions directed at a single candidate will not be shared, and similar questions may be consolidated. Numbers were drawn prior to the start of the forum to determine the order in which the candidates will start. Subsequent questions will be alternated. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for opening statements, 1.5 minutes for each questions, and 2 minutes for closing statements. The forum is scheduled to go until 7:30 or until we run out of questions. Will Knoppen, you go first with opening statements. You have 2 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Will Knoppen. First of all, thank you guys for setting this up, having us here. Excited to actually be in the same room as all the candidates at once. That's really neat. In some places, they don't all show up, so this is really neat. First of all, I'm a relatively new resident in the village. I've lived here for about 2 years now. We're first-time homeowners. When my fiance and I were trying to find the right place to live, we looked for a few things. We do not have children, but we wanted a place that was child-friendly and that shows a good sign of the community, good schools, good green spaces, and nobody has better parks in the area than Allouez. It's safe, it's comfortable, it's got lots of small businesses. So that's why we chose Allouez for our first home, and we've loved it ever since. As a retired Army veteran, I served 7 years with the Civil Affairs Battalion in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I spent a year in Iraq. Afterwards, I had some difficulties readjusting. I was finally able to retire. And now I have a significant amount of free time that I wanted to reinvest in some kind of service to my community. There are a lot of outreach programs that I've tried to get involved with, ranging from helping train self-defense courses for kids, and that was really rewarding, but locally I thought, I really like this community, I'd like to see this community stay this way, and when some open seats came up, I decided I would run for Board of Trustees. I think that my military background is going to be of great significance in helping with perspective and learning how different organizations can work together. I don't feel that we need to fight ever to try to get our problems solved. We are a village, we are a community. I'm very impressed with how the board and the staff work together to handle those things. And I look forward to be given the opportunity to try my hand at it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jean Marsh?
Thank you, and thank you. My name is Jean Marsh, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum. It's very important for people to be able to understand what the perspectives are of the candidates that they may choose to vote for. My family and I have lived in Allouez for 47 years. We love Allouez, and that's the main reason why I'm running for a trustee position. I want to be an advocate for the people of Allouez. I want to continue the planned economic development in a strategic way and maintain that hometown feeling along with the amenities that our residents enjoy. I have a record of community service. I served on the Green Bay School Board for 15 years, from 1997 to 2012. And the last 10 years I was the school board president. I learned many things during that time, and the one thing that I learned is that when you serve as an elected position or on a board, You are the advocate for those people in the community for which you serve. My husband Tom and I own 3 homes in Allouez over our lifetime here. And because of the feeling of the community with access to what's important for a quality life, we decided to stay here. Our last home, we've been in for the last 19 years. My husband Tom is a retired special education teacher. He taught at West High. And I have 3 children who are adults now, a daughter and twin boys, and they all attended Green Bay schools. They attended Langlade, and then they attended Lombardi and Southwest. My daughter still lives in Allouez, and she works at Prevea in Allouez on Webster. So we have really strong ties to Allouez. I have an undergraduate degree in nursing from the UW-Madison and an MBA from Oshkosh, and I am certified in HR. And that's just a little bit about me, and I hope to share more as we answer questions. Thank you.
Rob Atwood?
Thank you, and welcome to those of you that are watching online and here today. My name is Rob Atwood. I've had the privilege of serving on the village board for the past 9 years with a steadfast commitment to achieving the growth and improvement of Allouez. Having been raised here in Green Bay, or having been raised here from 6th grade through high school and returning to raise my family here for the past 31 years. My wife and I have lived in the same home over by Green Owl Park. My roots and love for our community run deep. I'm driven by a profound desire to cultivate an environment where families feel welcomed and are supported. Thank you again.
Rich Craig?
Hello, I'm Rich Craig. I want to thank again the League of Women Voters for hosting this event. I think the work that the League does is so important in terms of hosting these forums and promoting democracy and elections and things like that. I moved to Green Bay in the 80s to student teach at Green Bay East High School. I never imagined I was going to spend the rest of my time or the rest of my life in Green Bay. But I loved that school so much and my job so much, I really had no reason to ever leave Green Bay. I was a teacher. I taught for 31 years. I'm formally retired right now. I taught at Edison Middle School for 1 year, Washington Middle School for 13 years, and at East High School for 18 years. And when I left that school, I loved it just as much as when I first went there. It's an amazing place. I know it's important to a lot of people in Allouez. And Southwest High School is too. I don't want to snub Southwest at all. But, and I think Allouez is a great place to live. My girlfriend and I moved to Allouez about almost 7 years ago and absolutely love our neighborhood and our neighbors. And one reason why I'm here today, I think, as I've gotten older, I've come to realize democracy is really important. And one way I can get involved in my community is to run for office in local government. And I think we have a very healthy local government here. The fact that there are 7 people running for village board, I think, is amazing, and 7 really good candidates. I think, I've been reading the profiles and what they've already posted. So all the people that are here tonight, I think, is a really good sign. I know there are villages and even cities in Wisconsin that can't get people to run for their boards or for their city council. So I'm pretty impressed with this. So it's really what kind of brought me here today is my growing concern for democracy. Just a short story. As a teacher, I would do this activity with seniors. It was an activity where they had to rate what was important, what they thought was important, whether it was democracy or having good friends or clean water, and hardly anybody picked democracy, and I never did either. And now I'm realizing we can't really fix all of those things. We can't fix our problems unless we have a healthy democracy.
Thank you, Rich. Matt Honer?
Thanks, Dawn. First of all, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for providing this platform to give Allouezans the opportunity to learn more about each one of us that's running for village trustee. I think it speaks volumes to the amount of civic pride that people in Allouez have, that 7 of us are here to run for 3 seats. And the fact that we're all here tonight is simply amazing. I would also like to thank everyone that's here tonight and those watching online at home. Thanks for wanting to be informed and learning more about your options when you vote on April 2nd. I am Matt Honer. My wife Michelle and I have lived in Allouez for 9.5 years. with our two boys, who are now 15 and 12. We are proud to live in this community and be active participants in it. Community involvement has been a way of life for me. I'm on the Allouez Economic Development Committee, and I have been since 2021. I'm the past president of the Preble Optimist Club, member of the Green Bay Rotary Club, Green Bay Leadership Green Bay alum, mentor of Green Bay Teen Leadership, board member for Green Bay Action Sports. I'm on the Leadership Green Bay Curriculum Committee, and a member of the Northeast Wisconsin Association of Fundraising Professionals. I'm a former small business owner and former Main Street program director for Two Rivers and De Pere. I think that these experiences will give me a unique perspective as a village trustee. I currently work in the nonprofit sector as a director of resource development for the Einstein Project, where I provide donors the opportunity to support STEM education in northeastern Wisconsin. I'm happy to be here and answer all the questions that you and the audience have.
Thank you, Matt. Raymond Maxwell?
Okay. I don't want to be redundant, but I wanted to thank the League of Women Voters for putting on this forum. I wanted to thank those in the audience, both here today and online. And I wanted to thank the rest of the candidates up here for attending this forum. It really does give an opportunity for all those in the audience to hear at least 7 different perspectives on many of the questions that you might have to ask us. I think Allouez voters will benefit from this forum. I'm running for trustee for the same reason that many of you are here in the audience and are watching online. We're interested in who is going to be making decisions for us in our government. If elected, I plan on using common sense and public sentiment when making decisions on village services and how to pay for them. I pay for taxes and want those taxes justifiably spent. I have time to do independent research and seek public comment. I'm not afraid to be a dissenting voice, creating discussion and compromise if necessary. I believe the community is best served by citizen governments that considers all aspects of their decisions. I'm a retired entrepreneur. I know the difference, I know the importance. I also know the difference of customer service. I know the importance of customer service. I have a degree in business management from UWGB, and I look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you, Ray. Charlie Lederman?
Hello. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us tonight and for the League of Women Voters for hosting this. My name is Charlie Lederman, and I'm running for election because Allouez is a community that I care about. I was born and raised here. When my wife and I decided to start a family a little over 7 years ago, this was the place that we wanted to raise our family. Interestingly enough, I live 3 blocks from where I was raised. When I've been asked to describe Allouez to those family members that don't live in the area, after being able to pronounce Allouez correctly, I tell them Allouez is a gem. With the proximity to the Fox River and so much more around the area, it's a great place to live and work and play. However, Allouez faces many challenges being landlocked and not being able to expand its footprint. I want to be a voice for the current and future businesses, residents, and for all the great things that Allouez has to offer. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. First question will be, what motivated you to run for Allouez Board of Trustees? And we will be starting with Jean Marsh.
I think what motivated me the most was that I sincerely believe that if you're able to take the time and do the hard work to run for office and serve in your community, you should do that. that is why many years ago, I decided to run for public office. I had no experience at all, but I was involved in my children's school at Langlade, and I saw that there weren't very many parents of young children on the board, and so I decided to run. And that record of service has carried me through, and I find personal satisfaction in it, but I also find satisfaction in knowing that I'm very good at listening to other people. I'm very good at thinking about complex topics. I'm retired right now, so I have the time to sink my teeth into a lot of topics. And so I decided that I was a good candidate for this office. I bring with me lots of life in Allouez. As I said, we love Allouez, and I'm very well rooted here. And I see the opportunities that Allouez offers in terms of growth of business and also enhancements to our community life. So I want to be part of that, and I think I have the time and the ability to do a great job for you.
Thank you, Jean. Rob Atwood?
Thank you. 9 years ago, when I first ran, I wanted to get more involved in the local community. Wanted to learn more about it. Wanted to learn more about the government within Allouez. Wanted to learn more about the proceedings. In those 9 years, I've learned a lot, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. In my professional career, I deal with a lot of balls in the air at any given time. And the Village of Allouez and being on this board is no different. So we're always advancing one project, juggling other projects, moving things forward. Living and working in this community has been a pleasure. I've coached youth baseball, flag football, been on the men's club, still am on the men's club at St. Matthews. I've been part of the wild game feed for the last 25 years. This is just a great community to be in, and I hope to be reelected to continue that growth. Thank you.
Rich Craig?
I guess what motivates me, I guess all my life I've been interested in politics and government. I watched my grandfather was chairman of a town board and my grandmother who was a village clerk. And I've always been interested in politics, running for office. And now I guess I have that chance. I used to always think, well, how come it's always retired people on these boards? There's kind of a reason for that. We have the time. This job takes a lot of time. I think people underestimate the time and effort it takes to be on a village board or on a city council, and I'm really committed to putting in that time and doing a good job. Good local government and healthy democracy are very important to me, and that's another reason I'm running. I believe all people have an obligation to give back to their community, civic duty, and this is another way that I can do that. I think that it's really important that we make it a priority that our village government has a lot of integrity, openness, and vision, and it should be focused on helping and listening to the citizens of Allouez. Thanks.
Thank you, Rich. Matt Honer?
Thank you. As I mentioned in my opening, I'm very, can I keep going? Or, okay. As I'm very involved in the community. I'm part of the Economic Development Committee here in Allouez, have been since 2021. And that's, that experience with the Economic Development Committee really catapulted me into running here today and this election season. With the upcoming opportunities, with hopefully the closure of GBCI, the reconstruction on Webster Street, there's a lot of economic growth that could happen here in Allouez in the coming years. And I want to be part of that. I want to lend my experiences to that and help steer Allouez in that direction.
Thank you, Matt. Raymond Maxwell?
Okay, that's an interesting question. What motivated me to run? And I thought about that, and I've determined that what motivated me to run is that in the recent past, decisions made by the Board of Trustees here in Allouez and the transparency surrounding those decisions has changed my passive interest in village government to one of action. My campaign efforts include to stop the loss of public park space, including Broadview soccer fields. Another part of my campaign efforts is to improve, and the things that I hope to accomplish as a trustee is to improve the transparency surrounding the decisions that are made by this board. I say that in light of the fact that I'm probably going to come before the board tomorrow and complain about the money that they're going to spend for a PR firm to explain about the Libel Street reconstruction. And my third campaign effort is to improve economic development in Green Bay. I really feel that that is the ticket for us to the development that has a positive impact on our community.
Thank you, Raymond. Charlie Lederman?
Yes. The reason what motivated me to run for office is that out of public service. I've spent the last 23 years as a police officer, and that is public service when you get right down to it. The first board I served on was for my bargaining unit. I spent 15 years on the board, and others motivated me to step up. Some of those characteristics that they thought were important for me were that I cared, I listened, and I wanted to resolve issues. And I think those are great qualities of someone that's going to be on a village board, someone that's going to care and listen and communicate and be willing to work with the board to resolve. That's all I got. Thank you.
That's good. We did get some feedback online. Make sure you're talking directly in your microphone. It sounds like they're having a little bit of a hard time hearing you on the live stream. Okay, next question. What skills or experiences have you had that qualify you to be on the village board? And we will be starting.
Do we come back to me?
I'm sorry. Well,
I'm going to be so sad.
it's Will Knappen. Sorry, I got to Charlie at the end. I'll get better at this. This is my first time.
It's okay.
Sorry. What motivated you? Now you all have a little more time to think about the next question.
Okay, I'm going to try to be a little louder without being deafening, because I have a big voice. The reason I wanted to run for the position was because I just love this community. The big inspiration for me actually came my first time voting here, and having voted in different places and experiencing how people acted and how the community treated each other. Sometimes it can be very hostile. Sometimes people can be very rude, but everybody here was just so nice. They helped each other find the right ward, the right place to go. They helped each other find out which table to go to register. It was very, very warm and very welcoming. When I was a little kid, my grandmother always used to take me to the Allouez Cafe. She's lived in Green Bay for a very long time. And then when I grew up originally in Sturgeon Bay, and then we came back into this area, I just always loved coming here and always loved visiting. I love that small town feel. I want to maintain that. I thought that by getting on the board, if ever a situation comes up where somebody wants to put in a Target or a Walmart, I would fight against that passionately, because I feel like that would really harm our small town feel. And then as I've gone out and learned more, I've found out what's more important to so many people. Reaching out to parents and learning what's important to them for their schools, learning about the roads from the staff and how that works, and then of course the monumental issue of the GBCI and dealing with all of those problems. So that's why I'm running.
Thank you. Sorry, I forgot you.
It's okay.
Won't happen again.
I'm teasing.
Okay, I will reread the second question. What skills or experiences have you had that qualify you to be on the village board? And we will start with Rob Atwood.
Well, my past 9 years would dedicate that experience on the board. You know, there's many projects that are involved right now that some have completed, some we're right in the middle of, some at the very beginning. All of that experience, I think, helps me advance for another term. listening to the residents, answering their questions when I can, finding answers, excuse me, to ones that I might not have always been a goal. Don't really recall a question asked of me that I haven't answered or addressed. And just look forward to the opportunity to serve this community for another 9 years, or 3 years. Let's start one at a time.
Thank you, Rob. Rich Craig?
Thanks. As a person, I think I'm approachable and open-minded and pretty smart, and I think those characteristics will help me be a good trustee, a successful trustee. Definitely my years as a teacher in Green Bay helped me develop organizational skills that I would need as a trustee, and administrative skills I would need as a trustee. As a teacher, I developed, invaluable skills working with a great diversity of people and helping solve a variety of problems. And I think all those things are really important. As a leader, I'm very willing to learn. I think that's an important aspect of being a trustee, and make decisions based upon information and reason, I guess. But I'm very committed to putting forth the effort to do a good job, and I think that's important. And good communication, including responding to constituents in a timely manner. I've also been impressed, as some people have talked about, as a poll worker or other dealings with the village, and how nice everybody is, and helpful, and it's just got a great atmosphere when you come to this village hall. You can tell when you walk into a building whether it has a good atmosphere or doesn't have a good atmosphere. The times I've needed to get a hold of a trustee or contacted them, they always got a hold of me back right away, which I think was really important, and I was really impressed with that, and I would like to do the same thing as a trustee.
Thank you, Rich. Matt Honer?
Could you repeat the question, please, Dawn?
Yes. What skills or experiences have you had that qualify you to be on the village board?
Thank you. My experience on the Economic Development Committee, in those meetings we get regular updates on proposed development, the comprehensive plan updates, GBCI updates, of course, road and infrastructure projects that are upcoming. We get all those updates that I've been a part of. Pardon me. Also, working in nonprofit, working with 2 different Main Street programs. I've worked with different cities, different villages. I've been on boards. I've dealt with boards from all sides as an employee, as an executive director, as a board member and a board president. So I know how to communicate with other board members. I learned to work together with people even when you don't agree with them. Sometimes differing opinions are very valuable. You can come up with better solutions if you start out with opposite opinions and work together to compromise. And I've learned to stand united after a decision is made, whether it's the decision that I was polling for or not. If that's a decision that the board makes, that I've learned to stand united with that decision.
Thank you, Matt. Raymond Maxwell?
Hey, I'm not an incumbent, and I don't currently serve on a board here in the village of Allouez, but I feel my qualifications for seeking this office are equal to all the candidates up here. I love Allouez, and I want it to remain a great community. I'm interested in maintaining and improving the quality of life here in Allouez. I listen to my neighbors and what concerns them. I'm running for trustee because of that interaction. I'm an independent thinker. I listen, and I'm available to hear concerns, and I will respond to them. I look forward to applying those strengths as a village trustee. I'm an entrepreneur. I built a business through customer satisfaction. I know what, and I consider all stakeholders here in Allouez to be customers. I will meet the needs of Allouez by listening to the residents' concerns.
Thank you, Ray. Charlie Lederman.
Okay. I hold a Bachelor of Arts degree from St. Marie College, where my major was sociology and government, and I learned a great deal about how government works. I have 23 years, going on 24 years, working for a municipal government, and have a thorough understanding of committees and how government works and how you get things done. As well, I've served on the Brown County Traffic Committee, where we've investigated or made recommendations on traffic problems here in Brown County. As I previously mentioned, I have served 15 years on our union board, 9 as president. With that, I've been able to come to decisions, and on behalf of an entire group. And I've been active in our community here in Allouez. I've served as a coach for softball, soccer, been active in church, and I think those are all great attributes to someone that's going to be on the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. Will Knappen.
As the new guy in the area, I've noticed that a large number of people are coming into our community. We have young families, whether they're single people coming in, there are people trying to raise family, looking towards the future. And I think a nice perspective to have on the board would be somebody from that group and that demographic to add an outside perspective, or not so much outside, new perspective, I should say, because I'm a resident too, and I don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. I absolutely love this community. Other aspects of my personality, my character, are that I just really like learning things. I like talking to people and discussing issues with them. I've been having meet and greets twice a week now, so that people can just come in and tell me what they want from the village, what they like about the village, and I would want to continue doing that while serving. The benefit, like Rich mentioned, was having a little bit extra time and being able to treat this like it's a full-time job, having people come to me and solve problems. I know that's not all that is required of the aldermen, trustees here. Also, one thing that I think is really important is knowing where to get your answers. When I was having questions about the roads or other projects, I approached staff and talked to them because they're the experts and they're the ones who consult with the board, and being able to communicate with them and easily translate that for everybody to understand, I think, is really important.
Thank you, Will. Jean Marsh.
When you serve on a board, a public board, such as the Allouez Village Board, you're going to be dealing with many, many complex issues. These issues are so complex that one person can't possibly know all about it or solve them. So that's why I think my ability to collaborate with other people is going to be very important. When I try to solve complex issues with others, the first thing I do is I do a tremendous amount of reading about the subject. Then I try to listen to what the residents say, get input from the stakeholders who are going to be affected by that issue. And then you start to discuss these issues with your fellow trustees. And through those kinds of workings, you end up with what I believe are some of the best solutions. I think my background as a registered nurse provides me with insight into health of the community. I think my background in human resources and my skill with, I've worked with unions, I've done budgeting, I am very well versed in compensation and benefit issues. I think those things will be good skills to add as well. I also like the concept of solving issues for the public, and I really enjoy the dialogue back and forth with people who help inform me as to where they think issues should go.
Thank you, Jean. Next question. What is an example of a new community or economic development that you would hope your time on the board could make a contribution? And we will be starting with Rich Craig.
A new community development that would what?
A new community or economic development that you would hope your time on the board there you'd make a contribution to.
Okay. One community development I would like to really pay attention to and get involved in is the one that's just, there's some excitement around it because and that is the Webster Street development. On the 1900 block of Webster Street, I think the Spark development, there's a new developer now who's interested in coming in, and the village has signed an agreement to let him deal with that site, or that developer deal with that site. And I think that's very exciting. It's going to have, and it's a multi-use site with living space, some businesses, and I definitely would like to be involved with that and pay attention to that. I think another development site that's on all of every Allouez person's mind is the YMCA development issue. That's another one I'd like to pay attention to. I don't know if there's a lot there to look at. The loss of the soccer fields, the loss of green space. Are there other options? Is it a done deal? From my perspective, I remember when they put in the Broadview soccer fields, I was really upset. We're losing wildlife habitat for soccer fields. And now I'm worried about, we're losing valuable green space that a lot of people use, those soccer fields. And I think that issue has to be looked at very closely. And maybe it's a done deal. It's already been decided, but I would like to get involved with that one also.
Thank you, Rich. Matt Honer?
Thank you. One that Rich just mentioned also is the Webster Avenue or Webster Street reconstruction. Being involved with that, engaging the community, being transparent, having open dialogue with that. Mixed-use space would be great there with some retail and office space and living spaces above, some definite green space, increased walkability, make it a true destination for the neighboring communities also to come down and restaurants and things down there as well. GBCI, the possibilities there are fantastic. Obviously it needs to be shut down, but then once it is, what happens with that space? That could be a whole micro community within itself with shops and stores and restaurants and living spaces and parks, trails. That there are a lot of possibilities with there that will affect the tax base here in Allouez.
Thank you, Matt. Raymond Maxwell?
What kind of development would I like to sponsor or be a part of as a trustee? I can tell you what kind of development I don't want to be a part of, and I don't want to be a part of an expanded YMCA at the Broadview soccer fields. We currently have a relationship with the YMCA, and they have a facility here. I see no need for a larger and expanded YMCA here. There's no economic benefit to the village of Allouez other than traffic coming through our village for that particular facility. It's a members-only club, and obviously I'm not in favor of it. We've had the vacant lot up on Webster Avenue for at least 2 or 3 years, and we've heard nothing about it until just recently, other than the loss of our previous developer. I'd like to be involved in that. I'd like to see that become an exception. I've seen Howard build a development, something similar to that, and I'd like to be a part of that. I'm done.
Thank you, Raymond. Charlie Lederman?
Yes. Area that I would like to be a part of would be the YMCA. I am for the YMCA. As I mentioned previously, I grew up here. That is a place that I interacted, I utilize. My family utilizes it. Talking to other families in the community, they are for the YMCA. I think it would be an asset to our community. It will be an asset to our community, I should say. And it is currently. The difficult part is where do we give up park green space for the YMCA? and that's where the concern is. I think having a new YMCA is great for business. It brings individuals to our community. They can stop, interact, businesses, and I think it is a true asset for our community, the YMCA. And I would certainly support that in the future.
Thank you, Charlie. Will Knappen?
I think right now there are three major developments that people are concerned about. The GBCI, the prison, needs to go away. It's very old, very outdated, very dangerous for the staff, for the prisoners, for the people around it, therefore. Obviously, the village has very little that we can do about it. And I think the board has done an amazing job so far of building media attention on it so that we can address this issue. So that would be a very big part of what I would be trying to do, is making sure that we're addressing that. We're working with state representatives and other officials on properly closing that facility down. And then we get to explore all of the different opportunities. Like Matt was saying, that could be a whole special area with housing, with shops, with everything. The space on St. Joseph and Webster is a massive opportunity for us to do something really remarkable. Having green spaces, having accessibility for pedestrian traffic so that we can have people come here and go, let's check out the downtown area of Allouez, and we would finally have that. Making sure, though, that that fits kind of in with everything else around it. There have been people talking about maybe a 6-story structure, which might block view, which would be a concern for citizens, so making sure we're talking about that. And then the third major community development right now, I think coming up, is with the redistricting of schools. There's been talk of school closures, making sure we make sure that all works together and possibly ties in with the YMCA, using the Langlade space and the YMCA there as a communal space possibly. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. Jean Marsh?
Well, I agree with fellow candidates about the development of Webster Avenue, so I'm not going to speak more about that. And I also agree with Mr. Lederman that I would support the building of the YMCA. I think a structure like that serves people from birth through old age. It would be wonderful to have a new facility, and what an attraction it would be for new families to move into the community. I would use it. But I'd like to talk a little bit more about closing the Green Bay Correctional Institute. Our president, Jim Rafter, the Allouez president, Jim Rafter, has been a credible voice for closing the Green Bay Correctional Institute. He's been on podcasts, he's been on the news, on television, and I would want to join that effort to see that happen during my tenure, if possible. This is a very, very complex issue because it would mean building a new facility for the people who are there. But that that building was opened in the 1890s, and it first housed 8 inmates. Now it's almost 700 to 800 people overcrowded. This is not the right thing to do to keep those folks there. It's not good for the workers, and I would put a great deal of effort into advocating for its closure and support the Allouez Village Board, who has been also strong proponents of that.
Thank you, Jean. Rob Atwood?
I'm running for the village trustee to support the transformation of Allouez with a planned Webster Avenue mixed-use development. Residents seek a central hub for gathering, shopping, entertainment within the community. Committed to ensuring this project reflects the needs and enriches the village life. Green Bay's Correctional Institute, all I can do is echo what has been said. It's an outdated facility. No amount of money is ever going to update that facility, not to mention the fact that it would free up approximately 18 acres for the village of Allouez, a landlocked community, to develop. In terms of the YMCA, a strong YMCA is a strong community. They provide services of all incomes. Nobody's ever turned away. It's a great organization. I would love to see it advance. In true transparency, I'm on that committee for the Park and Recs department, and I've been involved with that since day one.
Thank you, Rob. Okay, next question. One of the compelling reasons to live in Allouez is the wonderful neighborhoods and the diversity of those neighborhoods. What is your vision for the future of this village? Park development, programs, housing development, business development, or a mix of all of these? There is a lot there, and you have a minute and a half. So we are starting with Matt Honer. Good luck.
Well, a minute and a half for each thing.
Thank you, yes.
Who's first?
Is Rich first or am I first?
You went first last time.
Well, I wasn't I?
Yeah, you were.
Okay.
I have a no-card system to keep you all straight, so don't mess with me.
I was ready to be first.
Well, now you're last, sorry. Matt.
I'm sorry, could you repeat it one more time?
I can. One of the compelling reasons to live in Allouez is the wonderful neighborhoods, and the diversity of those neighborhoods. What is your vision for the future of this village? Park development, programs, housing development, business development, a mix of all of these.
Well, I think a mix of all of these, obviously. You want, the board currently, and I just learned a couple minutes ago that Rob's on that committee, so good job with the Green Isle Park, the exercise equipment that was just put in there about a year and a half ago, something like that. That's amazing. My kids and I ride the bikes down there and use that equipment. Same thing with Optimus Park. We use that equipment there as well. So what's happening with the parks is great. We'll keep that up. In my vision, we would keep that up. New housing is difficult. There are very few open lots to build new housing in Allouez. There is some new business development going in on Riverside with Somerville, building a new building there. So the lots that are available are being used. They're doing a great job. I would like to keep that momentum going and continue to make this a great place to live and work.
Matt, Raymond Maxwell.
I'm going to echo this gentleman's here thoughts. I'm a part-time seasonal employee for the village of Allouez. I cut grass at the parks. And I think our parks are second to nobody. We have a great park system, and they're enjoyed by all, and I take pride, even as a part-time employee, in keeping care of the property to make sure that it's enjoyed by all that are there. I was in Singapore over the holidays for Christmas, and I thought, my grandchildren were there, and they were playing in a sandbox, and I was wondering why we don't have sandboxes at the village parks. Nevertheless, once again, a loss of 17 acres of parkland is not improving the park system in Allouez. So I'm not in favor of losing parkland. Putting a sludge pond at Riverview Park is a loss of parkland, and I'm not in favor of that as well. Done.
Thank you, Raymond. Charlie Leiterman.
My vision for Allouez would be a mix of all development. One thing I do feel very passionate about is our parks, and I'd like to continue to maintain our parks. Many may not know, but Allouez has got some of the most, they have the most pickleball courts. I learned that as I took pickleball lessons. But those are things that are really important to the community. When you look at development, we need to have not only just residential apartments or condos, but then businesses that can be as well mixed in there. I envision as well, I think we also need to look at development that's going to include some seniors that are retired. We also need to think about them in any type of development. We were looking to our future, we're talking about families, but I think it's important as well to consider those that are at retirement age and that they mean to be downsizing and they want to remain in our community. And I think that's something we as well need to explore.
Thank you, Charlie. Will Knappen?
Like everyone has said so far, the idea of mixed-use spaces is really key. So I think that we really do need to focus on green space and economic development as well as residential. I think it all ties together very neatly. The overall vision, I think, of Allouez is that it's a small, functional, well-respected and beloved town. And if you change too many things too quickly, it can be kind of alarming for folks. So making sure we're having proper outreach with that is key. That said, this mixed-use development we're discussing on Webster, where it would be housing on top and then it would be small shops under it, I think that's kind of a great idea because you can have a facility like that that could be for elderly folks, a retirement community that's 55 plus, they're downsizing, and also for new residents who want to come into our community. But with the housing market being like it is, it's rather difficult to find a home. It was 38 years before I got to get mine, so it takes a while. And I think that encourages a lot of people to come in, see things that are in the community, and then they get a chance to live here and be a part of it. The green spaces are vital, I think. That's what drew us here. I think that's what draws a lot of people here. So making sure that we're being responsible with those. Like Trustee Atwood said, we're landlocked. We are not getting any bigger. Bellevue is not going to give us land. So we need to be very careful with the proper development of it, making sure we're doing really good community outreach, hearing from the residents on what they want to see, and then working around that. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. Jean Marsh?
I would agree that we should emphasize a mix of all three of these. We have lovely parks, and I would also add to the parks, the Fox River and the East River Trail are really, really huge assets to our community. I personally walk on the Fox River Trail, and it is lovely. So I think keeping up the parks and the trails would be important. I think it's important to develop businesses in Allouez, not just any business. I think we have to be very clear about the kinds of businesses that we want to attract. Right now, we have some very nice businesses in our community, and I think working with the Allouez Business Association, we can determine where businesses might want to grow and where they want to put roots down. Regarding housing, as other people have said, it's very limited in Allouez, but I think there's potential with the housing on Webster Avenue with the mixed-use development that might be underway. That could be a combination of businesses and homes or apartments for people. I'd also like to add, because I am still very in tune to what the schools are doing, I'd like to see a K-8 school in Allouez. I think it would be a wonderful asset to the community. Parents that I've talked to like K-8 schools, and I'm really pleased that the school district is looking at the potential of a K-8 school, perhaps at Langlade or Doty. They're not sure yet, but I want to keep my eye on that because I think that'd be a really great thing to have.
Thank you, Jean. Rob Atwood?
Thank you. All three are very important, and as we advance through every meeting, every year, we continue to grow these projects. But I'd be remiss not to, Allouez boasts renowned parks and trails. As a village board representative on the Park and Recs Board for the past 9 years, I have focused on elevating our park systems. Recent upgrades include 6 pickleball courts at Kiwanis Park, new playground equipment at Kiwanis and Green Isle and Optimus Park, plus a gazebo at Optimus Park. We've also installed pathway lighting at Green Isle Park. And this spring, we're expanding parking at Kiwanis Park due to the increased usage and demand.
Thank you, Rob. Rich Craig, now it's your turn.
Hey, thanks. I really like the word vision. I think any community, the village of Allouez, needs to have vision. And when I talk about vision, I think communities need to look 50, 100, 200 years down the road. I think protection of our green space is incredibly important. We've all talked about our parks and our trail system and the need to maintain those and to have access to those. Several of you used the word landlocked. I think it's important for a landlocked community to guard their green space. with a lot of energy, I guess. In terms of economic development, when I think of development, I think we should be concerned about having high-quality development. When I've been knocking on doors, a couple people actually talked to me about their concerns. Some apartment buildings or businesses are being built on the cheap. They're not high-quality, long-lasting construction. And I think that's a really important thing to worry about, that sustainable type of development. That, on the other hand, I know that the village master plan, I guess, a big part of it deals with, Allouez aging infrastructure. We have a lot of old buildings, old homes, and we need to help businesses and homeowners and landlords deal with that issue, whether it's helping them find, tax credits or grants that are already there or developing some new ones. I think that's an important part of it too. So yes to all of it.
Thank you. Okay,
I already answered.
you went already. I know. I have my cards. I'm good. I was right. He was trying to throw me off. Okay, next question. And this one's we'll start with you, Raymond Maxwell. What's the number one challenge that Allouez is facing right now?
I know what my number one challenge is, but I think that, to be honest, I think the number one challenge is our streets. As I looked at a public works report, I see that there's, and I got it written down, so I want to make sure I say it appropriately. According to Public Works Department, there's 8.2 miles of roads here, or streets within Allouez that are rated 1 to 3, which is poor. We have 12.1 miles of streets that are rated 4 to 5, which is fair. That's poor, in my opinion. I think we walk the streets. There's not a whole lot of sidewalks in our area, and I'm not advocating for sidewalks, but we walk the streets. I walk the streets. At minimum, all the streets in Allouez should be at least fair. What that says to me is that more streets need to be improved in Allouez. Allouez has a mill rate of $5.48 per thousand, which is on the high side of Brown County. So we have to figure out some way to balance improving our streets with the tax rate.
Okay, thank you, Raymond. Charlie Leiterman.
I think the number one issue facing Allouez right now, we have groups that want to develop, and I think that's great. However, I think the number one issue is closing Green Bay Correctional. It's an aging facility. It's could be an area for growth and development in the village. That challenge is, as mentioned before, I think by Gene, it's very complex. We have an aging facility that's historic, and it's prisoners we need to be cognizant of that are there. The staff in our own community. However, I think the village has done an excellent job in making those steps here locally and in Madison, that the prison needs to be shut down and relocated for the safety of everyone involved, employees, prisoners, and then as well for our community, those that work at that facility. So I think that's the number one issue facing us, but it's a long-term solution. It's going to take many years to get that close. Thank you.
Charlie Wilkenappen.
I would say that the number one issue overall in our village is aging infrastructure, and that would include the prison. I'm not going to touch too much on the prison already, because I talked about it earlier, and also it is very limited on what the village can do, but I think we're doing a fantastic job. So like I said earlier, continuing to push for that is really important. What some people don't understand regarding rebuilding all of this streets and whatnot is that they were all almost built at the same time, about 50 or 60 years ago, and roads only last 50 years on average. So we're coming due. We're seeing all of these roads failing now, and I think what we're seeing from the current board and from the staff recommendation is kind of a staggered approach of fixing some streets now, the ones that need it the most, and then more, and then more, and then more, so that we don't have the same problem in 50 years where all the roads are broken again. It's very difficult because it's very expensive to fix roads. And we're not talking resurfacing. This is from the sewage on up, full reconstruction of roads. That's why what's going on in Libel is such a monumental task. Coming up in a few years, they're going to do that to Webster. And we're going to have competing discussions between what the county board wants to do and what the village wants to do, because they have authority over it more so than we, and it's become a very complex issue. So I would say working together to find good solutions for our infrastructure is key.
Thank you, Will. Jean Marsh?
Well, I'm going to say that the number one challenge is the budget. And I say that because the challenge of the budget affects all of the things that others have talked about. And I've been looking at the adopted budget that I got from the village, and 67% of our budget comes from property taxes. So it's us. We're paying for this. And Allouez has enjoyed lower property taxes. And so how do we get more money? I think, and then the second largest would be from 17% comes from the state. So a lot of times people say, well, the states will pay for it. The state it's only 17%. So how do you get more money to do these things? I think that's where I think it's important for the village trustees to understand very much the budget and figure out ways to economize, to fund those roads, to fund the infrastructure that we're talking about. The other thing that's very important, and it's been mentioned, is when you close the Green Bay Correctional Institute, that would provide a huge amount of land for us to develop, attract new businesses, and it would be a great value to our village.
Thank you, Jean. Rob Atwood?
I'm going to ask you to do the same thing and just repeat the question real quick.
Okay, what is the number one challenge that Allouez is facing right now?
Well, the prison, of course, because it frees up a lot of property, a lot of land space for us in a landlocked community to expand on. But I think we all know where we all stand on the prison and advancing that forward. I think the measures that we've put in place in the current board to advance that process has been very, very good. And I would compliment President Rafter as well for his voice on speaking on that. Infrastructure, I've had several meetings with Sean Geen, our Public Works Director. He's got a master plan in place, and he will do everything he can with the money that he has to correct a lot of the problems that are in place. Check the village's website, it's posted there as well. There's a lot of good things happening. But we could do better too in advancing some of these objectives of the village board and continuing to work towards a better community for all of us.
Thank you, Rob. Rich Craig?
Before I started running for office, I don't think I would have answered this question this way. But I would have to agree it's the prison. The more I learn about that, I think it's such an important issue. Conditions there are filthy, inhumane, immoral. It's overcrowded, underfunded. There's 2 prisoners in cells built for 1 in absolutely atrocious conditions. I think the big holdup is I think it would have been closed a long time ago if it wasn't for the holdup of what to do with that land or after you close the prison. And I think that's the issue. That's where the holdup comes. Years ago, maybe not so much today, I used to hear people talk about they should rebuild, they should close that prison and tear it down, rebuild a brand new state-of-the-art prison. That would be the worst option, I think. And I'm glad nobody else has suggested that as an option. Hopefully our state is going to start to look at things a little differently. We have a very high incarceration rate in Wisconsin compared to other states. And we need to start to look at things a little differently, how to keep people out of prison. The state has something called the Treatment Alternatives Program, that if it was fully funded, it would be keeping people out of prison, thousands of people out of prison. And I think somebody, said those prisoners need to have some place to go. That's not necessarily true. Well, they do, but it doesn't necessarily have to be another prison someplace. That is, I think, our main issue.
Thank you, Rich. Matt? Horner.
I'm going to sound like a broken record, but GBCI is tops on the list for the challenge that we're facing. And also the infrastructure. 2 summers ago, we had a sinkhole at the intersection by our house. The road just gave out, and it was fixed within probably 24 hours, but the road was crumbling. So the GBCI and the infrastructure definitely are big issues facing the community. One thing that the village is doing, that the board is doing and tackling it head on is getting information out to residents, accurate information, factual information out to residents in a timely manner with the Allouez project, or the, Libel project. They're doing that right now, and it's making things easier. I think the current board does a great job of learning from past mistakes, or mistakes might be the wrong word, but learning from their past decisions and in correcting those now. So I think this board now is doing a great job, and there aren't many other issues other than the infrastructure and GBCI.
Thank you, Matt. This is going to be our last question. I'm going to make it a relatively easy one for you. If you are elected, how do you plan on staying engaged and communicating with community members? And we are starting with Charlie Leiterman.
The way I would do that is make myself available. Trustees are provided an email, phone number. Those are the best ways. I'm a in-person, telephone kind of person. Emails are great, but I do like talking to people either on the phone or in person if they have concerns, and that's how I make myself available to them. I do have social media, but that's not my forte. But I make myself available through those means to the community.
Thank you, Charlie. Okanapan?
Well, in a few ways. I would make sure that everyone knows my phone number, email. I have an active social media page that is for Will for Allouez, and it's not based solely on running for election. Whether I win or lose, I will still be attending all the board meetings to let the village know what's going on, keep people informed, making little videos, walking around, showing cool spots. A big thing that I'll be doing is I'll be keeping office hours. I will go to, I've been going to Lock, Stock, and Bagel, which is awesome for coffee, or Zimbaldi twice a week now, and I plan on expanding that so that people have a social venue to come and talk to me, bring up concerns. I'll be letting everybody know where I am at all times. They can say, hey, this is interesting to us. This is what we had a concern with. How do we fix that? And then when I'm not engaging with in that kind of a passive setting where people come to me, I'll be reaching out with folks, having social get-togethers so people can come and talk to me more, sending out emails to folks asking what's going on, and then while we're doing all of that, finding a way to encourage coming to our board meetings, which is a fantastic thing that I feel is sometimes underutilized. I know people don't always have time, but I think that's a great opportunity to come and make yourself heard. That's how I've been able to do it. But I think that making sure that you're open, you're available, you have this transparency, I think that's key. So thank you.
Jean Marsh?
Keeping engaged with the people who put you in your position as a trustee is one of the most important things you do when you're in elected office. And I would engage with people in whatever way they want to be engaged with. I would keep my social media page. I would have my cell phone. Email is great. I would meet with people one-on-one. Sometimes what I might do is bring one of the administration from Allouez to meet as well, because they have a wealth of knowledge that I don't have. Sometimes I won't be able to answer the question. But I love talking with people. I love hearing their perspectives. I also like the way the current village board engages with people in their open forums. I attended one of the meetings several weeks ago, and there were, I don't remember how many. There were a lot of people that came before the board. And the board respectfully listened to each and every person who wanted to speak. That is great engagement. And I would want to continue that. I think the board would as well. But I learned a lot just from listening to those people. So I think it's when you're engaging with people in face-to-face is great. But again, I would engage with people in whatever way they want to engage.
Rob Atwood?
Continue to listen and respond. You know, I've received emails, phone calls. I've gone out to residents' homes. I've listened to their concerns. I've listened to their compliments. I think the vast majority of this village thinks that this board is doing a pretty good job. And just be respectful. Be respectful of the people that call, that have a complaint, that might sometimes get a little owly on the phone. You know, listen to that. There's a reason for it, and there's always a solution. So, and I'll make a commitment to continue to do that.
Thank you, Rob. Rich Craig?
I think good communication is a really important part of this job, and I would agree that the village board, I think, has done a fantastic job as trustees communicating with their constituents. There have been a few times I've had to call a trustee, and they always got right back to me. Rob, you were one of those. You might have forgotten about that, but it wasn't that long ago. But I think that's really important, responding through phone calls or emails or however, responding quickly and listening. And I love Will's idea of having listening sessions. And in various places in the community, I would see myself doing the same thing if I become a trustee. I think that's really important. One thing, I think the village as a whole could improve a little bit communicating. Not everybody always knows to look at the website. I think a paper newsletter would be very valuable. I think a lot of businesses or communities, when they go away from a paper newsletter, people quit reading the newsletter when it's emailed to them or it's only electronic. Even young people, I think, don't look at it anymore. I think a paper newsletter like the school district has, something like that, would be very valuable. I'd like to look at doing that. Thanks.
Thank you, Rich. Matt Honor?
Okay, yeah, I'll echo everybody else. Yep, my phone number, my email address, my social media account will stay active. Matt Honer for Allouez. Please follow me. But more important, not only listening to the constituents, but hearing them. And constituents will know that I'm hearing them because they'll see action. I'll respond to them. I will bring their concerns to staff, to the board, and talk everything through and get an answer for them.
Thank you, Matt. Ray?
I would hope that I would continue to communicate as a trustee the same way I've communicated as a candidate, as a neighbor, as an involved person in their community. When I'm out cutting grass, I stop and talk to people. When I walk down the streets, I stop and talk to people. I don't always talk to them about the village of Allouez government. I talk to them about their daily life and how they can get a hold of me if they need help. I express opinions to them, they express opinions to me, and I would hope that I continue to do that no matter whether I'm elected or not, because I think a community that is involved with each other and communicates with each other, you can have all the tools. I got a website, I got a phone, but you can't get your neighbor to call you up and tell you their concern for some unknown reason. So you need to be involved or committed to your community you can always lead, like I said, like I went to a committee meeting the other day and Sarah says, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force him to drink. And so I would like to think that I'm always accessible in any manner to anybody.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes the questions. So now you will each have 2 minutes for closing statements. We will start with Charlie Leiterman.
I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this. I'd also like to thank all the candidates. As I was here sitting, I appreciate that each one of them listened to each one of us as we gave our responses. And I think that's very important and says a lot about the candidates for this office. I just wanted to share that I have a deep commitment for our community. And as a trustee, I will listen to the community concerns and work with others to address those concerns. Our tax dollars are limited here in Allouez as we are landlocked. I will work to maintain village services and collaborate with board members to spend those tax dollars wisely. I am committed to serving the residents of Allouez so that we can continue to be a historically progressive community. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. Raymond Maxwell, you're next.
Caught me off guard.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
We went this way for opening, we're going this way for closing. I'm trying to make it fair.
Election day, voters of Allouez will get the opportunity to select 3 trustees. 3. I think that could change if 3 new ones came onto the board. That could change the whole dynamic of the village board. There are 7 candidates looking to fill those positions. Not one of us will make the perfect decision every time. I've laid out some strengths that I feel that I have and my positions on issues facing Allouez. I want to represent the community in determining our future. If you want additional information about me, I have a website that can be reached by Googling Maxwell for Allouez if you have a computer. I also have cards available with my website written on it. I have cards available with my website with a QR code that will get you to my website if you need more information about me. I'm soliciting support from you, my neighbors, in this effort and ask for you to vote for me on April the 2nd.
Thank you, Raymond. Matt Honer.
All right, thank you. And thanks again to the League of Women Voters for holding this today. It was great to meet everybody. There are a couple of candidates that I hadn't had the chance to meet yet, so it's very nice to meet everyone. If elected on April 2nd, I will vow to serve everyone, all residents, property owners, business owners in Allouez. I don't come with an agenda. I will be accessible to all stakeholders. I promise not to just listen, but to hear your concerns. My goals that I would have, other than being elected for a second term, would be that the other trustees and the Allouez Village staff would see me as a collaborative member of the board who would be easy to work with and an asset to the village. I hope to have your vote on April 2nd, and please follow me again at Matt Honer for Allouez.
Thank you, Matt. Rich Craig.
One thing I've always thought about the Allouez board is that the board members probably disagree on many things, but they work together very well. And I'd like to be a part of that. And when we talk about I'm not down a lot of doors. One really good idea that a couple people had is that Allouez should have, districts or zones. What's the word I'm looking for? What all 7 trustees represent all of Allouez. So if somebody has a problem, they have to call 7 trustees. Whereas in Ashwaubenon, they have wards. They're village trustees. They represent certain wards. And that way, some of our neighborhoods feel unrepresented. And if we had wards, they would have their representative, they would know who to call, and I think they would feel like they were being represented. I think we do have a couple neighborhoods that feel that they're not represented. Again, an issue that's really important to me in all this is, we talked very little about this today, is protecting the quality of the East River and Fox River watersheds. Whether it's flood mitigation, habitat protection, reestablishing wetlands and protecting the wetlands that are there. I think that's very important, and something that I plan to pay a lot of attention to if I'm on the board. Thanks.
Thank you, Rich. Rob Atwood?
Well, once again, thank you to your organization, League of Women Voters. Thank you for the people watching online, and thank you for the people that took time out of their evening to come here to listen to all of us vie for this position. As a resident, a parent, and a community member, I understand the importance of creating a safe, vibrant, and inclusive environment for all. If reelected, I'm committed to continuing to work collaboratively with my fellow board members and residents to implement initiatives that promote growth, enhance infrastructure, and ensure that Allouez remains a place where families aspire to raise their children.
Thank you, Rob. Jean Marsh?
Thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum, and I am a proud member of the League, pleased to say. And thank you to my opponents who've talked with us today. I've learned a lot from listening to your ideas and perspectives. I thought a great deal about what I have to offer the village as a trustee, and I want you to know that I would take this job very, very seriously. I will be an advocate for all residents and businesses in Allouez. Why should you support me? Well, I've learned a lot in my years of public service, and I know that listening and engaging with the public, especially when long-term and complex decisions have to be made, is very important, and most importantly, it results in better decisions. And engaging with the public is what I love the most about board service, and if elected, I will respond to all your calls and emails and list all perspectives, and I will do my homework. I'll read and review all the information that pertains to the issues and decisions before I vote, and I will work collaboratively with all the fellow board members and administration. I am willing to change my mind when data and feedback from the public cause me to better understand an issue and the ramifications of the issues before us. My 3 priorities, which I've listed in print, is to balance economic development and provide housing and services while maintaining the qualities of the village we love, and maintaining safety, roads, services, parks, trails, clean water, and, as we said, closing the Green Bay Correctional Institution. I'll advocate and support our current board on that important endeavor. I'm very committed to the residents of Allouez, and I hope you feel that I will represent you well, so I ask for your vote on April 2nd.
Thank you, Jean. Last up is Will Knopp.
Thank you.
Knappen. Sorry, I pronounced it wrong.
No, it's okay.
Sorry.
You got it like 6 out of 7 times. That's better than everybody else almost, including my own family. So good job. Thank you again to the League of Women Voters. Thank you guys all so much for sitting here and listening to everybody's answers. I hope if you had questions, they got answered. Thank you for everyone sitting at home and listening. If I'm elected, I promise that I will treat everyone here equally, no matter what your concern is. If it's you want to know Mo May or you're concerned about the prison, I will talk to you, I will listen to you. If you just don't like my haircut, that's fine, you can tell me. It's not going to change. But I will listen to you and I will treat you with dignity and respect. All I would ask is that we continue to treat each other with dignity and respect, because our community is known for it. Next door, if you go to their village meetings, they're not so kind, but if you come here, you have a place, you have a good time to talk and show your views. I promise that I will do the research. If I don't know the answer to your question, I will find it. I spoke with a constituent the other day. She had a question regarding an invasive species in her backyard. I immediately gave her the information to contact Chris Clark, our brilliant Parks and Recs guy, so she could ask her questions. If anything like that comes up, I'm happy to serve in that capacity. As a veteran, I've proven my track record of service to my community, to my country, and I plan and promise to serve Allouez with that same level of diligence and loyalty, and I will serve with transparency. I will show you exactly what math you need to see, why your tax dollars are being spent the way they are, how they're going to be spent in the future. I promise that I will work with the village staff. I will work with the board members in a respectful and equitable fashion so that we can solve all our issues together. We may not always agree, but we will work together. Please vote for me April 2nd, and remember, where there's a will, there's Allouez. I had to, I'm sorry.
I'm really glad you went last.
I had to, I'm sorry.
Okay, well, that concludes our forum. I want to thank all of you. It is fabulous having all of the candidates here. I think the people of Allouez are extremely lucky that you are their options. I think they have some hard decisions on April 2nd. We do this, and this is my first year taking over voter services for the league, so this was my first year planning forums, and a tremendous amount of work goes into doing this. And we do this so that people understand their choice when they go to the polls. And for that to work, you all have to show up. And we appreciate that you are here. We appreciate everybody that came from the audience and shared questions. We appreciate everybody that is listening online. I want to call out Christine Lemeron. She has scheduled our locations for all the 4 forums we did, and Lynn Meschke is our social media guru for the league. The league is a really, really nice place to be. We're always looking for members, so join us anytime you want. Gina and Don are timekeepers, and they do this all the time for us, and they do a fabulous job. So thank you all. Good luck. Vote on April 2nd or vote via absentee. Absentee ballots have gone out in the mail, so if you're voting absentee, you should have your ballot at your house. And vote on April 2nd, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thank you all. You're all awesome.